Number 3. Nuclear power to Bechtel A-1B nuclear reactors, the most cutting-edge engines created for use on water power the USS Gerald Ford. As a result, the carrier would only need 50 nature of nuclear energy. This means USS Ford can run for 25 years at a time without refueling, and with a peak speed of around 30 knots. The super carrier can access every country on the planet just in time to pay friendly visits to allies and wreak havoc on enemies. Number 2. USS Ford features the latest sensors, processors, and weapons needed on an aircraft carrier to maintain that balance of intelligence and lethality. Unlike virtually every other aircraft carrier in the world, the USS Ford features a single system for both horizon and volume search in the form of the InSpy-3 multifunction radar for X and S-band active electronically scanned array. It remains the most advanced radar system from the US, with enough versatility to handle surveillance, air traffic control, missile communications, and spot targets from miles away. Number 1. American fighter jets and WAVs. Up to 75 fighter jets and unmanned aerial vehicles, or WAVs, can call the USS Ford home at a time, including the Navy's favorite child, the 5th generation F-35C Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter, whose development program remains the most expensive weapons development program of the Pentagon to date, with a reported cost of $400 billion. The result of such an expensive program is a fighter that really can do it all: close air support, vertical takeoff and landing, and everything in between, cementing it as the modern go-to fighter for the Navy and every other department of the military. That is until the 6th generation F/A-XX fighter takes center stage, of course, and for when that happens, the USS Ford is already equipped with the technologies required to host, launch, and recover at all of these and many more combined to make the U.S undefeatable on the seas. And so an airborne version of them could make the U.S undefeatable in the skies, which remains an ultimate goal, and many programs of helicarrier of Marvel's shield there as close as any's gotten in the last 100 years, and going that far back in time means we say hi to the airships as far back as 1917. Experiments were made with aircraft slung under airships, which we'll call microfighters. These hanging aircraft were there primarily to defend the airships, but as those airships went out of style, different flying carrier programs came to be each unique in its own right. Boeing 747 airborne aircraft carrier, the 1970s, came with the U.S Air Force experimenting with the idea of converting one of its large aircraft into a flying aircraft carrier full of parasite fighters that could be deployed and even recovered in midair. Among the contenders for this role were the Lockheed C-5 Galaxy and the Boeing 747. Boeing would take the lead when they correctly pointed out in their proposal that the 747 offered superior range and endurance when flying with a full payload of an impressive 883,000 pounds. The 747 would therefore be able to carry up to 10 microfighters at a time. Boeing would specially design and build the microfighters to be small enough to be housed within the 747, along with an apparatus that would allow the large plane to carry the fighters along distance, drop them where they were needed to fight, recover them once again, and refuel them if need be. But some uncertainties would surface from the fuel range to how well the Boeing microfighters would fare against the advanced threats they were supposed to square off with. Ultimately, the proposal never made it off the page of Boeing's report, but the report did establish that despite the challenges, the concept, although likely costly, was actually technically feasible. The B-36 Peacemaker. The B-36 Peacemaker strategic bomber was another aircraft intended to be upgraded to carry microfighters. To launch its microfighters would be the McDonnell F-85 Goblin, and it would house up to 4 of them. The B-36 was the ideal pick this time in the 1950s, thanks to its massive size and weight. Its 230-foot wings would dwarf even those of the B-52 Stratofortress, and cement the B-36 as one of the largest aircraft to ever take to the skies. Its weight comes in at an astonishing 410,000 pounds when fully loaded with fuel and up to 86,000 pounds of weapons. Despite all of these bragging rights, the B-36 would never fly an operational mission, as although it was desired to give the U.S. the capability of bombing Berlin efficiently, World War II would since have ended by the time it was ready. However, its massive size and range prompted the Air Force to consider its use as a flying aircraft carrier, but that too would not come into fruition as the advent of mid-air refueling dramatically increased the operational range of all varieties of aircraft and ultimately undermined the importance of the range of the B-36 Peacemaker Lockheed C-130 Hercules away from the attempts of the 1900s. The U.S. has relatively recently been looking into a new flying carrier program. Since 2015, the United States Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, has been investigating the prospect of using a modified nuclear-powered Lockheed CL-1201. Lockheed, and staying true to their nature of pushing the limits, decided to go at a flying aircraft carrier the size of a traditional aircraft carrier. This aircraft, or aircraft carrier, would weigh a literal groundbreaking 5,000. Such a massive structure to fly. The design included a 120-foot wingspan with a 560-foot long fuselage. That's the length of 2.5 Boeing 747s. End to end, the Lockheed CL-1201 could, however, surprisingly be powered by only 4 huge turbofan engines powered by regular jet fuel to an altitude under 16,000 feet. At this point, the nuclear energy from an onboard reactor takes over and powers the jet for 41 days straight without refueling or having to land for a second. In fact, the aircraft could maintain a Mach 0.8 cruising speed for this period and fly at around 30,000 feet up. This massive aircraft would have a crew of 845, be able to deploy 22 multi-role fighters, maintain a hangar bay for repairs, but would also likely cost billions of dollars and far too many labor hours to produce and maintain, which must have contributed to why the aircraft never made it past the proposal stage. But its concept to this day stands as a historical anomaly that continues to inspire renewed attention from the world. Lockheed Martin C-130 Hercules. Improve efficiency, productivity, performance, uptime, comfort, and safety with Honeywell solutions for the Lockheed C-130 Hercules. The C-130 military transport aircraft has proven its reliability, efficiency, and its operational readiness in even the harshest of environments and combat theaters. This multi-role aircraft is in operation by more than 60 nations for missions including search and rescue, weather reconnaissance, maritime patrol, aeromedical evacuation, and aerial firefighting. This rugged aircraft is often the first aircraft in, touching down on austere landing zones before any other transport to provide humanitarian relief after natural disasters. For the C-130, Honeywell provides a range of safety and mission-critical onboard equipment for this important aircraft, including auxiliary power units APU and generators, radar, radio altimeters, air turbine starter, traffic collision and avoidance TCAS systems, and enhanced ground proximity warning systems EGPWS. Additionally, Honeywell's industry-leading satellite communication systems are capable of adding consistent, reliable, high-bandwidth connectivity services to the aircraft, even in remote areas, providing a critical link from the aircraft to the rest of the battlespace and increasing situational